Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So today I want to comment on the recently concluded Super Bowl halftime show. And I want to begin by talking about the what I call foolish game part of it. And what is the foolish game part of it? We know that rap and hip hop is an art form, and unfortunately, there's a culture attached to it now that is a predominantly very negative culture. And this halftime show was exhibit A on what's wrong with the culture. So here it is. You have corporate America, I presume unknowingly participating in a feud between two grown men, acting like little children in school, and people on the sidelines encouraging them to fight on the internet. Now, the fight is on the internet currently, but we don't know if it's going to spill over. This situation is very toxic and it has potentially tragic consequences. We've already seen some physical altercations resulting from it. And what's next is the question. Are we going to end up with drive-bys? Are we going to end up with, multiple bodies, as they say? Are people going to die as a result of a foolish feud? On the one hand, you have one side insulting the other side and so on. In this case, we have Kendrick Lamar, who is obviously a very talented and gifted artist, but he and Drake are perpetuating this beef where they are hurling insults at one another. And so at halftime in the Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar is using this platform, and everybody, corporate America, and everybody is sitting on the sidelines, kind of cheering and saying, "Okay, go for it." And he is calling Drake a pedophile. Now, I don't know whether that's the case or not, but it's a situation of where there's a perpetuation of a toxic event and a toxic series of events, what they call beefs in rap and hip hop. So the question is, what next? I think one of the problems that we have is that when you look at the rap and hip hop culture, it's not very uplifting. And this situation was an uplifting. And you have a halftime show on the Super Bowl, and the show is focused in on Black young men denigrating each other while everybody sits on the sidelines and cheers. Unfortunately, the gang and street life are incorporated into hip hop and rap. And the unfortunate thing is that many of the heroes of the culture are men who have gone to jail for 20 years, who are admitted drug traffickers, admitted gang leaders. They even talk in their music and otherwise about how many bodies they have, how much time they spend in prison, not from a negative standpoint of view, but it elevates their reputation in the culture by how many people they killed, how many tons of cocaine they moved, and so on. And this is what's happening. This wasn't front and center in the Super Bowl, but it's what's behind the culture. And the sad thing about it is that the entire culture right now, toxic culture, is based upon a failed model. Many of the rappers and hip hop artists and even the gang leaders are following a model that has proven to be a failure. And that model is the mafia model. When you look at what they espouse many of the same things that the mafia espoused for years. So, for example, they are talking about or murder or silence or not snitching. The mafia has been a massive failure, and yet the culture among Black Americans is modeling themselves after the mafia. And so now we have multiple individuals with promising careers and futures going to jail for 20, 30 years. admitting to being involved in all kinds of crime, and then fighting amongst each other in a very childish way about who did what and who snitched and who didn't. We just recently saw a young man released from prison called Big Meech. And he's considered a legend not because of something great that he accomplished, but because he was head of what is called the Black Mafia family. So obviously, Mafia has influenced the hip hop culture. When you look at Biggie Smalls, his group is called the Junior Mafia. So, the mafia is revered, but even the mafia leaders of today are telling us, hey, this is a failed model. We got out of it. In fact, when you look at most of the mafia leaders, they all snitch on each other because they were facing potentially 50, 60 years in jail. And it's amazing how in today's culture, you have thieves complaining about there's no honor. And really, the whole game is a foolish game. It's an illusion. It's a loser's game, but yet it's perpetuated on stage. It's perpetuated through the music culture. Isn't it interesting that no other music culture thrives on insulting and killing each other? It's only rap and hip hop among predominantly Black men. We don't hear country music artists or pop artists going around saying, I'm gonna shoot six people and drop them in the ground, and I killed this many ops, I killed these many enemies. You don't hear that. It's only happening in the Black culture, the hip hop culture, and predominantly among Black young men. It does happen among Hispanics and so on, but the vast majority of the artists who are getting killed, who are going to prison, are Black young men. And so we have people focusing in on crimes they committed and how many bodies they have to elevate their stature in the music business. Can you imagine music coming to the point where your credibility is based upon how much crime you've done, how much murder you've done? Years ago, music was based upon songs and what people sing and how good the song was. We look back at some of the soul groups from years ago, and, people sang songs that were decent. But now a lot of it is about dead bodies, it's about prison, it's about, denigrating women. So, what's the solution? Well, I don't know if there's a solution because the culture is very popular and it's thriving while the young men are going to jail. We just seen Drake, not Drake, Lil Durk from Chicago charged with murder, and here it is, he's facing possibly life in prison. So, in some ways it looks hopeless, but I think there's always a better way, and people have to step up to the plate. The people in the culture have to change the culture. A lot of the culture is waiting on the white man to change something. The white man isn't going to change anything. And a lot of people in the culture, in the hip hop and rap culture, they are blaming the white man while they kill themselves. Well, the white man may be responsible, but he's not going to help you. So if you don't help yourself, then just be prepared to stay in the same position with death, destruction, and hopelessness in the Black community. So my hope is that the focus changes and that some of these young men can develop something where they talk about enterprise and business and teaching the young men values that will make them great. Focusing in on education, talking about family life, elevating goodness rather than elevating evil. So those are my thoughts, and you're free to comment, give me your thoughts, but it has to be better than this. And the situation with Drake and Lamar, it's a childish, shameful situation that everybody is kind of joining in and supporting. So hopefully this kind of stuff at least diminishes, if not ends.